Hello, everyone. Welcome to the winter solstice. Oh my gosh, it's the shortest day of the year. It's total darkness. Okay, not total darkness, but this is actually like a hard time for a lot of people because they really don't like how dark it gets so early. I personally love it. If you guys have not been here, if this is the first time that you're hearing this, hearing me, just know I am very deeply attached to my Scorpio rising. And I just am all sorts of like dark and twisty in a good way. And one of those things is that I like things that other people typically don't like. Like I like the chaos of the emergency room. I like, that it gets dark in the winter time. I like being in the cold and it's not that I don't like the other things that people like the sunshine and the beach and things like that, but I just find my peace and my like joy in areas that other people don't necessarily find joy in. And um, so this is a very happy time for me. I'm just gonna say that. But what do I want to talk today about in the Shits and Giggles episode? I've been here, the conversation is ubiquitous, obviously, with AI. Um, and I don't want to like sit and talk about AI specifically, but what was really getting me thinking was that people don't think as much anymore because they're having AI do it or they're having somebody else do it. They're not having to think for themselves. And I remember a time when you had to think for yourself. You actually had to be taught how to critically think. And today, I see even those individuals who were taught to critically think, like that was a part of their makeup, these boomers and the Gen Xers and things like that. Like they didn't have this sort of technology, and yet they're still having a hard time. Why? Because it was so easy to give up the thinking to somebody else. The thinking was so hard. And I find that really fascinating. Do you guys find that fascinating? Like, truly, like when you think about your life and you think about, well, how much time do I actually have to devote to thinking about anything? I mean, like from what movie do I watch when I'm Netflixing and chilling to what I'm having for dinner to, you know, how do I fix my plumbing? I mean, I get it that there are some things that we need experts for, and so like seeking guidance and expertise from somebody else, like obviously, like that's the thing. But I feel like we've just said, screw it, I don't want to do all of that. I don't want to do all of that hard work. And so we're getting to this place where robots are doing the thinking and the doing for us. And this is like the crazy thing. I think when people really started like working on the idea of AI, it wasn't so much that the AI was going to be doing the thinking for us, it was that the AI was going to be doing the doing for us. And that makes sense to me in a lot of ways. Like if you want to free up your time, then which is a precious commodity and is one of those things that like when you think about quote unquote wealthy people, they really prioritize their time. They really say, okay, what is it that I can get rid of so that I don't have to have that thing sucking up my time so that I can allot that time elsewhere and in a more productive or a more um like useful way, right? Well, useful and productive are the same word. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. And so I think when I think about how we are as a society now. And it's not we went and we like jumped we jumped a spot. Like now we've got technology not just doing the thing. Like it's almost as if the technology hasn't really been giving a chance to like do the thing. We've gone and said, okay, great. Like now we know that you can, but before we really put this to the test, we're going to have you do our thinking for us. So kids putting in a simple prompt into ChatGPT to do the research and do the the essay write-up and to then put it into another program that makes it quote unquote more human and then submitting it. Like, what? What is happening? Why is this happening? You know, I remember growing up, because I'm a millennial, that there was always somebody in the generations above that were like millennials are lazy. And then because I'm still alive, I've watched my generation and other generations, older generations obviously, say that Gen Zs are lazy, and then watched all of us say that Gen Alphas are lazy. And I just feel like, whose fault is this really? Because it was the Gen it was the boomers and the Gen Xers that raised the millennials. And if we're lazy, then what does that say about them? And it was the millennials and the Gen Xers that raised the Gen Zers. So once again, if they're lazy, then what does that say about us? And you guys, I'm of the perspective, I'm of the opinion that every person has like eventually you have to take responsibility for yourself. Like it really can't come down to nature versus nurture. Well, it can't come down to nurture. Let me say it like that. It can't all be your parents' fault. It can't all be your grandparents' fault. It can't all be that you didn't have guidance's fault, right? At some point, it has to be like, what is it that you want to do? Like, how do you want to show up? How do you want to live in this world? And so, while there is this discussion or this thought process of, well, these individuals are lazy and they don't want to do anything, I kind of am of this opinion of, okay, so where's the delicate balance? Where's the medium, the happy medium or the unhappy medium because because we're of the type of topic of conversation that we're having of like if these individuals were lazy, if I as a millennial am lazy, then where did that begin? Obviously, now as an adult, I don't have anybody to blame but myself for my laziness. Which is exactly the point I was making of like eventually like I had to stop blaming my parent and I had to actually look at myself and I had to say, you know what? If I don't like how people are talking about me, then maybe I need to act differently. And obviously, there are going to be some times like this conversation is now feeling really like nuanced to me because my brain is doing what it always does and it tries to like pick apart my own arguments. You guys, it is fascinating being inside of my brain. It truly is. Um, but I say all that to say that we really have to get we have to get right with Jesus. We have to get right with ourselves. We need to be a little bit more honest about the fact that like at the end of the day this day we are having a hard time thinking. We're having a hard time functioning truly. And it's probably time that we looked in the mirror and we started to ask ourselves the questions of like, is this how we really want to be? Not the world, not people, but us as a person. Like, is this how we want to be? Do we want to not be a person that doesn't think, that can't critically think? Do we want to be a person that is more about giving up all of our tasks to something robotic or something electronic? Do we want to be beholden to technology because that's eventually like the only way that we're going to be able to function, you know? And for me personally, no, it's one of the reasons why like I don't freak out over not posting for a week or two. And granted, like if you guys have been wondering where I've been on social media, like I've been in my life. I've been in my life. I've been handling my clients. I've been helping with my family. And all of those things to me are way more important than whether or not I get out a daily post or two daily posts. And I get it. I get it. Like there are, business mentors aplenty that are saying, well, Abigail, if you want your business to succeed, if you want people to trust you, if you want all this stuff, then you're going to need to make sure that you show up even during the quote unquote hard times or the stressful times or the busy times. And to that I say fuck off. Like only because there once upon a time this stuff didn't exist and people's businesses still thrived. It's still functioned. It's still people still trusted. And so I this is one of those moments where I'm thinking for myself and I'm saying, you know what, my life does not need to revolve around whether or not I make a post or whether or not I, show up online and scroll or whether or not I utilize ChatGPT or whether or not I am just and standing outside of Tesla or wherever waiting for the next subservient robot, from Elon. Like that's not the way that I want to live my life. I want to do the thinking for myself as well as the doing. Let's be honest. Like for me personally, like I want to be doing things in my life. I want to be having to be a little bit frustrated, and that's not to say that there's anything wrong with individuals who say, you know what, I don't want to have to do that. I came here on this planet to have as little movement and doing as possible. Okay. And Godspeed to you. Like I'm wishing you the best with that. But for me, it's about I really do want to find this nice medium, this nice happy medium where you know what? I use the technology, I use the AI responsibly, not to make it so that I don't have to function, but very much from this like wealthy mindset perspective of, you know what, if there's a if there's a task that can be done automated and allow for my time, the time that it would have taken me to do that to be used in a more productive space or at a different time, then I want to do that. And I still want to be able to think critically about my life and about my relationships and about the things that I'm learning. I want to continue to learn. I want to continue to use my brain and think about things and be interested and fascinated in things. Like I want that for myself. And I hope that you do too. I hope that those of you listening are, also of a similar mindset, or maybe this like triggers something in you to say, well, how much do I actually like think? How often am I actually utilizing my brain? You know, when was the last time that I went to bed and I was like, man, my brain hurts a little bit because I did all of this thinking and I did for myself. It's a good feeling, guys. I promise you. You guys are probably like, Abigail, you're crazy. No, it's not. Well, guys, that was my first Shits and Giggles episode today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Um, Usually at the end of these, I tell you what's next. Let's see, what is next? What's next week? Next week is me and a former student of mine. Her name is Miriam. And yeah, she is going to sit and have a conversation with us about practical ways to connect with one's intuition. And I found it a fascinating conversation, truly, because I've been in the work for so long that now the everyday things that I do, the things that people start off with doing, I've been doing it for so long and I'm constantly looking to advance myself and up level and like I'm pushing the boundaries of what is possible for my consciousness and for my energy and all of that stuff that I don't think about the everyday things that I'm doing. My routines are so locked in as far as like when I'm meditating, usually it's at night. Um, when I'm, doing my protections, I put on like it's clockwork. I don't even really think about it. I'm cleansing my energy. Um, there's all of these different things that, we're going to talk about, active things that you can be doing that help you to connect to your intuition. And I don't think about those things anymore because of where I am in my career and where I am with in my intuitive journey. So it was a illuminating conversation. I hope you enjoy it. So come back for that, especially if you're a person who's interested in intuition and you're like, dude, how do I even begin? Where do I start? Especially if you're thinking to yourself, if you sit and tell me that I need to meditate for an hour a day, BS, I'm not doing it. Um, Go suck a salmon. Because I understand. I understand how that would be frustrating for a lot of people. And I will tell you right here, right now, that is not one of the suggestions. So, all right, everybody, we will see you next week on the next Breath of Life of Conversations. Bye, y'all.